Welcome to the Upshot, Ultiworld Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the publisher of Ultiworld Disc Golf, Charlie Eisenhood, and joining me this week and for the next 4 weeks is Jay Yeti Redding, legend of the game. Jay, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great, Charlie. Great to be on the show. Thanks for having me as a guest spot on here. I'm really excited about being able to share some disc golf passion with everybody. And I'm going to start out by congratulating and thanking you for bringing the ultimate world to disc golf. I think you guys have really provided a cool, serious news outlet for the sport of disc golf. So thanks for that.
Well, thanks. We're going to try to keep getting better and better. Appreciate that. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of our listeners will know who you are just from your name. But I do want to quickly, just note some of your credentials. I mean, you've been playing disc golf since, 92? Is that right?
Yeah, threw a Frisbee at a metal cage for the first time in 92 in Cedar Falls, Iowa.
Awesome. And you have been a long-time high-level player, multi-time putting world champion, which we're going to come back to that in a little bit. I got something from this weekend to talk about on that front. Multiple top 10, 20 top 10 national tour finishes. I mean, I could go through the list, and, lately you continue to compete a great deal, but you're also designing courses and you're running the educational disc golf experience, which is just such an awesome organization that's helping to grow youth disc golf. And we're going to, in a show in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk more about growing youth disc golf and what you're doing with Edge. I mean, I don't know what else you want to highlight from your extensive disc golf resume, but you've been doing this a long time at a really high level. Yeah,
I mean, I've been a participant in team sports and in my own neighborhood, making up games since I was a little kid. I mean, other people have had the same experience, but the kids was blessed to have a park just neighboring our neighborhood, so always doing slugger and touch football and all these things. But you do that every day and you want to start thinking outside the box. So I was kind of the neighborhood game maven, and I would make up all kinds of different variances and games and things like that. And of course, at some point when the Frisbee came in to just play catch, I thought I invented Frisbee golf, throwing at trees and doing the par 3 thing. So that was the very early spot of it. But I went through the, varsity sports all the way to Division, 1 football. And so I've been through all of that, but I've never, ever lost touch of my recreational side because I'm a huge outdoorsman. I'm a huge recreationist, period. That's part of the Yeti side. If I'm indoors, I'm uncomfortable and I'm restless. I got to be out in the outdoor world. And so, disc golf provided a vehicle to be able to do stuff like that. And I've never lost that recreational side. So I love to compete at the highest level, don't get me wrong, but I also am very much in tune with the outdoor healthy lifestyle and just, amazing people that you find at your everyday local courses and all those commonalities we share with the common goal of making beveled edge discs do fantastic things around trees and through the air. And, I think that's a perspective we always need to keep because the sport's growing and getting better and better, bigger payouts, all those things. But that recreational aspect is still like really what makes disc golf like the coolest.
And that's what, 75% of people, that's how they experience the sport. Maybe more than that, 85%. I don't know what the number is. It's hard to specify, but we know that the number of people playing disc golf is far more than the number of people that have a PDGA membership and, want to compete in tournaments and things of the like. So, okay, I want to ask you some football questions in just a second, but the intro and outro music today, our bumper music, you're a big music aficionado. So what are we hearing on today's show in the music department?
Yeah, thanks for that, Charlie. I did have my own radio show back in the day, and yeah, I love music. I think music is a huge part of everybody's life in some form or fashion. But I wanted to introduce a few bands kind of from Texas. I think people would really enjoy, and we've been listening to a great band called Brownout. Brownout, it's actually a side band from what started out as a Latin Grammy-winning band called Grupo Fantasma. And, just to give you a sense of how cool these guys are, Prince, the Prince, when Prince would throw a party up at Paisley Park in Minnesota, he would actually fly in these guys from Austin to play his parties. So, pretty cool street cred all by itself, let alone getting some Grammys. And so a bunch of the band members decided, you know what, let's take this Latin groove that we know how to do so well, and let's just jam in the funk horn right in there. And so Brownout was created, and they've been just, overwhelming the Texas scene with so many cool projects on their own. The music we're listening to is from their latest album called the Berlin Sessions, but they have some fantastic other albums. I'd really, if you're a Black Sabbath fan or a Public Enemy fan, they've actually done albums recreating those with the Latin funk version. So yeah, Public Enemy with Latin funk, and then Brown Sabbath, actually 2 albums, to the point where Ozzy Osbourne is, it caught a hold of him, and he's like, here's these bloody Mexicans playing my music better than I do. Yeah, so pretty good stuff. But yeah, that's Brownout from Austin, Texas.
Awesome. So you played some seriously high-level high school football in Iowa, and then you ended up at the University of Northern Iowa as an offensive guard. And so you've been playing football a long time. I want to get your take. News this morning. I'm a big San Francisco 49ers fan. They just re-signed Trent Williams to a 6-year deal, $138 million, left tackle. Do you like the move from the 49ers?
I mean, hey, you don't have to tell an offensive lineman what the most important aspect of the game of football is, right? I mean, it is the trenches. And we don't have to look any farther than this year's Super Bowl. It was dominated on the line. And that's what really won the Tampa Bay Buccaneers their Super Bowl. Tom Brady, he's the man. I'll even give him GOAT credit for sure. But it really was the trenches, both offense and defense, just phenomenal line play, complete domination is what we saw. So can you blame the 49ers for trying to, as soon as they can get a quarterback going, yeah.
Deshaun Watson, maybe Houston will trade him. I don't know. We'll have to see. But Trent Williams was the highest graded left tackle in 2020. So we will see. It's a big contract, the biggest contract ever for an offensive lineman.
Wow.
And he's 32 years old. So we'll see. I mean, definitely if we can get a quarterback, we can go get a ring. And I think he would help be a linchpin of that. I see your Saints shirt. I love it.
Who dat?
Shout out to the legend Drew Brees for his career and his retirement. Congrats to him on such a spectacular career.
Oh, just simply unbelievable. I mean, he's an Austin, Texas boy right here. What an amazing career, going all the way up to Purdue, and then his storied past with the Chargers, and probably maybe one of the greatest pickups of all time for the Saints, who pretty much took our team from one of the lowest points, which we had many low points. Luckily, I was a kid, and I really never understood why people wanted to put a brown lunch bag on their head. But as all my other friends like to talk about the Aints days, yeah, I get it. And Drew, phenomenal, man. I mean, amazing human being, amazing quarterback, an overachiever. I mean, if you want your kids to look up to somebody, it's going to be Drew Brees, And I have the pleasure of saying that I've actually, thrown a little disc golf with Drew Brees. So
how about
that's
that?
pretty cool. Yeah, not really thrown, but the story is he was a featured presenter at the National Physical Education Conference, and of course, couldn't wait to go see him talk. And I happened to be in the booth at the Educational Disc Golf Experience booth at the time, and lo and behold, I see all these handlers around him, and in fact, it's Drew Brees. He's going to walk right by the booth. So I'm not going to miss this opportunity. So, of course, he doesn't know me, but I'm like, Drew. And he actually looked over, and I threw him a putter, and he actually hit him in the hands, and he dropped it.
Oh, no.
And his handlers laughed, and then he actually, picked it up, and and he was still walking. So, he had somewhere to be, but he goes, oh, this game is really awesome. And he threw a putt. And of course he missed. Well, I waited around, and on his way back, he looked at me, and I'm saying, I know you want some, you want some payback on that, right? Yeah. So yeah. And of course, super cool moment, got to chat a bit and get a sweet picture with him and stuff. So yeah, great who dat moment for sure.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great segue. Let's talk about some disc golf. We've obviously got to talk about the Waco Annual Charity Open, which happened this past weekend on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. A fascinating event from a number of angles. Dominating win from Kona Panis in FPO, and Nikko Locastro goes head-to-head with Cale Leiviska and gets the win in MPO. Like, total throwback. Your podium is Nikko, Cale, Bradley Williams in MPO. No Calvin Heimberg, no Eagle McMahon, no Paul McBeth, no Ricky Wysocki. Like, I feel like we just teleported back like 8 years. So we'll talk about that. Nikko will be joining us a little bit later to discuss his win this weekend and his second Disc Golf Pro Tour win in the last year. He won the Preserve a year ago, right after the restart after the COVID hiatus. So we'll get into all that. I do want to take a quick moment and note, Jay, it's a perfect time to have you as guest host because we're on the middle, we've just started the Texas swing of the tour. So just as a quick aside, why is Texas doing so fantastically well at developing disc golf? I mean, I don't think there's a better state. I mean, outside of Finland, I feel like Texas is next in the list of places where disc golf is really thriving. So I'm sure this could be a whole episode, but if you had to boil it down, what would you say is that Texas is doing so well that we have, a big swing of the tour there, tons of players, more courses than anywhere else in the United States, $30,000 added cash for the Lone Star Classic, which is a B tier. So
amazing.
What's in the soup in Texas?
Yeah, well, I think part of the soup is that the Frisbee has been an integral part of Texas from the beginning. And so, of course, it didn't take too long for those Frisbee guys to kind of discover disc golf when it started getting introduced in other places around the country. And then you're dealing with sheer volume and size, right? So Texas is an absolute amazing state. I'm a native Iowan, but we chose to live in Texas for a number of reasons that really revolved around taking the game seriously. When we got into the game, our both Des and I's, chart went up pretty quickly. Des, you guys talked about, I think, fastest climbs for somebody. Des came out of nowhere and won a world championship. I mean, at the time, she was rated 908. It's since been adjusted for different manipulations of the rating system, and that might be another show as well. But so many places, so big. Each of these places started communities. The Houston Flying Disc Society, the Waterloo Disc Golf Club here in Austin. There was some big movements both in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then even out into the tumbleweeds in West Texas and things. All of these areas kind of had their own blossoming. And as the leaders and shakers of yesterday really did the hard, laborious work of convincing their park and recs and cities to put in courses, You know, Texas is a state of pride. So I watch this in my home area up in Iowa, but it happens in Texas on a daily basis where one town will get something like a disc golf course, and the next thing you know, the next town over says, well, how do we get one of these? Why can't we do this as well? So success breeds success, and we've had some fantastic leaders over the years, and I really think that's part of it, right? And then the players have come in, and you know, we've had our share of phenomenal old school players all the way to currently. We have some, you know, phenomenal talent that's out there, and we're just touching the basis. And I think during this Texas swing, we'll start talking about some of these players that are on the verge of being the up and coming next, you know, person on tour. And I'm excited to introduce some of those characters to everybody. But to me, that's it.
Got it. And the land, I would also just note, you got a lot of land in Texas, which is very helpful if you want to build disc golf courses.
Value this.
So we dive into this Waco crazy final round. Not an FPO, where it was basically wrapped up by Kona Panis, and it was a bit of a waltz to the finish, a victory lap, as she comes off of the All-Star Weekend win and backs it up with a Disc Golf Pro Tour win. And you know, it's been very interesting to hear Kona talk about the process mentality that she has, you know, no expectations, just trying to take it a day at a time. And, you know, you hear that from athletes a lot, but I feel like we really saw that from Kona this weekend, who was totally unfazed and dominated across all aspects of the course. Her putting was great. Her driving was the best in the field, and you know, she ends up dominating the tournament. Wins by 12 strokes over Owen Scoggins, who played well, but that's just how good Kona Panis played, shooting a 16 under through 3 rounds. That's the best score that's ever been put down at this tournament.
Just fantastic job, Kona. Just her respect level in so many folks' heads just went up triple fold. And here's where I'll have to admit, I've always enjoyed working with Kona over the last couple of years on some different projects, working with kids, and you know, I was one of those people in the early days that Kona came on the scene as a highly touted sponsored player for Innova. I come from the school of, you know, hey, you know, we want to see you on the podium. We want to judge you on your athletic performance. And now there's room for a lot of people to come in and give power and credence to what they can provide to the company on the media and social side. And, you know, Kona came in with that first, right? And her father's even a media manager for Team Innova. So to all of a sudden, you know, she's got this credence that a lot of us had to work so hard athletically to get. And, you know, when I saw Kona in a segment with, I forget who recorded it, but, you know, it was her and Steve Rico, I believe. And, you know, they had the comedian Fluffy, you know, who they're introducing disc golf to. And she really like, okay, now I'm seeing it. You know, her personality came through. She had some great ad-libbing jokes that made me laugh. And I'm like, okay, I get the social media side of it, you know, and, you know, maybe her game will come along someday. And I think she took each one of those little nuggets, and I think she built this into like, look, no, I'm here to play disc golf. You know, I'm here to be an athlete. I'm an athlete with social media skills. But you know, it's one of those things you gotta put up or shut up. And to see her break through at the All-Star, I really think that, and we heard everybody talk about it, she's building this confidence that we just don't know what her potential is going to be. And I think we've now seen it. Right. I mean, she dominated. To watch her perform was really quite spectacular because she was very methodical, and the confidence, right? The confidence was outpouring. But we know, listening to her interviews and stuff, the internal dialogue that was going on in there, I mean, it was the true athletic moment of keeping the nerves just on point enough that it actually provides you these clutch moments to come through again and again and again.
Sharpen the skills. Yeah. So one of the overarching elements of this weekend, kind of across both divisions, is that the players that we so often see at the top of the leaderboard, your Paige Pierce, your, Macbeth, Eagle, like players who were dominating just a couple weeks ago at Las Vegas Challenge with the ultra distance and, all this incredibly high ceiling. Those players were not at the top of the leaderboard this weekend. And Waco's had some sort of strange results in the past, but it felt like it was a little bit even different this year. I mean, Paul Macbeth's won this tournament many times. Paige Pierce has won this tournament. So why do you think, Jay, especially since you were at the tournament, competing in the tournament, why do you think this year we didn't see those top names coming out and filling up the top of the leaderboard?
Yeah, sure. And I'm a former Waco Charity Classic Open winner as well. And in big tournaments in Texas, I'm always at a disadvantage because of I've never been a long ball thrower, right? It's always the short game. And so that's where we start to break down Waco as just the Beast is a phenomenal course. People have their issues in one way or another, but in the end, disc golf has multi facets of skill sets, right? So and personally, as a course designer, I call it the rule of sixes. I want a quality course to have 6 open holes, 6 technical holes, and then 6 holes that either have to do with some kind of a out of bounds or elevation challenge. And Waco checks all of those boxes. And I really call Waco a compartmental course, with mental being the capital letters in there. If you really break it down, holes 1, 2, and 3, wide open. Here's your chance to get the start and see what the wind conditions are going to be like. 5, 6, 7, 8, technical birdie opportunities in the woods. Then comes the turn, and that's hole 9. And now that they've made that a par 4, which is relative, right? That came out to be a par 5. And personally, I found the turn difficult all by itself, no matter what momentum I brought into that hole. Then you go into 10, 11, 12, which again are technical wooded birdie opportunities. And then you're back out into the open. What's happened in the last hour and a half that you were in the woods? Maybe the wind shifted, maybe the conditions changed, but you're back out in the elements for 13 through 16 until you come to bum, bum, bum. The number 1 and number 2 most difficult holes on the course. So I think that's it in a nutshell. It's really gonna allow players that have a well-grounded game to surface and bubble to the top. It rewards consistency. It rewards scrambling skills. And I think that's why some of the bigger, longer ball throwers that's their number 1 asset. I think that's why they tend to struggle at Waco.
I got to give you a shout out. You've been following the addition of strokes gained to the UDisc leaderboards and stat sheets.
Sure.
So I checked it out. I went in there. I'm saying, okay, who led the field this weekend? Well, it was you, Jay. You led the field in strokes gained to the putting green. Not that should come as a surprise, but still to finish number 1, about 2/10 ahead of Chris Dickerson. Congrats.
Well, thank you on that. So why wasn't Jay Redding on the podium then?
Well, the strokes gained from tee to green was not quite dialed in.
And that's where I was going with that. So, yes, without the power, I have to pick and choose what holes I'm attacking out there. And where, we came at a hole like number 12, which is a par 4 technical through the woods. I played that 3 times. I threw 9 Makos. I had 3 drop-ins and 3 pars. And I never even challenged that hole. So that's the good side, right? But sometimes on the opposite side, hole 9 would be one of those holes where, I try to just get out of there with a par as well, like most people, and I ended up with a 2 bogeys and a double on that one. Strokes gained from tee to green. Yeah, not need to hone that in. I think that's what held me back there.
So, just one more point on Kona and her win. Does it surprise you that she was able to come away with the victory this weekend in the way that she did it? Not that you question her talent, but it's not been, she's never won an Elite Series event before. And I think a lot of people saw the All-Star weekend and said, well, that's cool, but this is a exhibition tournament. This, it was doubles in the first round. So how much does this really mean? But I think if there were any questions left, they have to be answered at this point. But were you surprised, or did you see that something like this could happen from Kona?
No, I have to admit I was surprised. She talked about her win, in the All-Star weekend as kind of like, the first big achievement in disc golf, and to follow that up with even a bigger achievement, in my opinion, it was a surprise. I can't tell you who I thought really. I thought it was going to be a battle between a number of players, and I probably would not have put Kona in my, my lead card, actually.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a look at MPO and this crazy final round. At one point, about halfway through the round, Nikko Locastro is up 6 strokes, and it looks like it's over. And he goes cold. From holes 8 to 15, he was 1 over. He had 7 pars and a bogey. Meanwhile, Cale chips away at the lead, gets it down to 1 stroke. And we go into 17, and Nikko, his tee shot is not ideal. Cale's is perfect. Cale's right up there. He's going to get a birdie, and Nikko's 75 feet out. And Nikko throws what essentially was, it wasn't circle 2. He was outside of circle 2, but essentially a long putt. And he laser beams it into the chains for a massive birdie to hold a 1-stroke lead. And his distance advantage over Cale on 18 made it easier for him to basically just take the layup, try to force Cale to make a great shot. Cale's turnover doesn't flex back, and that was all she wrote. So Nikko gets the win. What an epic final round with some back and forth and some really strong putting from Nikko early, and then he lost it there for a while, but then hits the absolute clutch dagger looking like Dame Lillard from 77 feet.
You can't write this stuff. This is sports, right? And these are the things that make disc golf super compelling. And he talks about trying to limit or get rid of the jump putt. That is our downtown 3-pointer plus. There's no more exciting to pull something like that off in the moment. Nikko's one of those guys that he can be dangerous anytime his mind is right. He's got all the talent in the world. Living on the road, having outside influences and all kinds of things going on. All the players have to deal with what might be a balance, right? And so, Nikko constantly bombarding with opportunities and people and everything like that. When we've seen Nikko be successful, he's come into the tour with I hate to, keep saying Nikko with a chip on his shoulder, but he is one of those players that when he feels an edge, he's going to be the guy that embraces and takes advantage of it. And we witnessed this on 17. I had just been finishing up, right? So I grabbed a quick bite, and I was really excited to come out and watch the MPO field finish up, live and in person. And I caught up to these guys on 16 as they're making that turn in the parking lot there. And so in prime position to watch the drives on 17. And when Nikko's came out so low and flat at first, right? Thank goodness he threw something amazingly overstable, because it was OB, for half of the flight before it hooked up, and it left him with a tricky situation. And when he pulled off at that position, it was hard to tell on film. That is a very difficult forehand. Nikko isn't a forehand specialist. So what a fantastic shot under pressure that was. And the crowd reaction, crickets. Silence. I couldn't believe it. Now, if there was a regular gallery here with a lot of Nikkos fans, and we would have had a party. But it was surprising to me that it was quiet.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to ask him about this? Do you think people just didn't realize it was a great shot? Because it's not like he was parked. I mean, he still had obviously quite a ways to get up to the basket, but you're right that it was a skillful shot from where he was. Do you think the gallery just didn't recognize it, or was it just no one was rooting for him?
Well, it was a lot of players and staff that were watching, so I think we did know that it was a pretty excellent shot. But let's face it, I mean, Cale is one of the most well-liked people in the world. Yeah. Cale's just a fantastic guy, and all of us are sports fans. So whether we were rooting for Nikko or Cale, guess what? Nikko was in the lead, and almost every sports fan has a little special spot for the underdog of the moment. And so I think it was knowing that Cale was actually in prime position, let's see what happens now.
Cut down a lead. Yeah, tie it up. Wow, I mean, an amazing shot from Nikko. I sort of similarly to talking about this in FPO, is there anything to the fact that we see three kind of tour veterans at the top of the leaderboard in MPO? Is there something about this Waco course or the conditions this weekend, very windy, especially in a couple of first couple days, that set up
kind of windy
that set up the for us to have Nikko, Cale, and Bradley Williams taking the podium spots?
Yeah, I mean, Brad Williams, Bradley Williams, you would have. He would have been right up there in my top 5 picks for sure. Sure. Nobody works harder. If Bradley could figure out how to get on tour on a full-time basis, he's one of those names we're talking about every weekend.
Every week, totally.
Yeah, the guy, maybe one of the smoothest throwers out there. The mechanics are incredible. He works extremely hard, and it pays off when he has the opportunity, and that's another good sign for Brad. If you look at his stats, if he just would have, he had a slow start every round. And I think if he just, some of those birdies to start with are, for big arms, hole one can kind of go either way, just the way the OB sets, but it should be an inside the circle putt for most everybody. Right. Hole 2 with big arms, that's well in the range for a birdie par 4. And then hole 3, that's a very routine shot. It's only the elevated target that might get in your way. So if you don't get 2 of the 3, you had a really slow start. And right. If you look at Brad's start, every round he was not out of the gates on fire, whereas Nikko, just came out of the gates that last round. That was an unbelievable start. Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget because of what happened on 17, but he had 7 straight birdies to begin the round. And he was putting it inside the circle pretty much every time. And he had a chance to make another circle 1 putt to make it 8 in a row, and he missed it. So, but you're right. Bradley Williams, on the other hand, only got 2 birdies in the first 7.
Yeah. And, and then Cale, you're going to expect, he's always a perennial, top 10 player, any way you slice it. And it was, you could see him methodically doing his thing, right? It was really Nikko that when he missed that putt, I think it rattled him just a little bit because things had been going so smooth. And then when he lost the tee box on hole 4, and he didn't lose the tee box, excuse me, he went to bob. he became Bob on hole 14. And Bob stands for back of the box. No offense to all the great Bobs out there, but nobody wants to be Bob in disc golf as
Tough
far as the
name.
Bob back of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nikko ended up parring 15, and I think that was his relief valve. And I can't wait to hear what he says about in his mind what was going on during that section right there, because to me that was the turning point. Cale was in control. He was doing what he needed to do to put the grinding the gears in Nikko, and you could see it. And then that par kind of like you heard the air almost go tsh, like, yeah, I'm kind of reset.
Now, just to go back to, we look back to Las Vegas. Eagle McMahon looked absolutely unstoppable at Las Vegas. I mean, just spectacular in every facet. A very large win considering what we typically see at that tournament in terms of, the strokes that separate first and second. And then he comes into this weekend and, the wheels come off a little bit, ends up finishing tied for 47th. Had a very nice final round. He shot 8 under, but he was over par through the first 2 rounds. We've talked on the show in the past about Eagle struggling a bit at times dealing with some of the more technical woods type courses. And obviously this course is more of a mixed bag, but is there, what happened to Eagle this weekend?
Yeah, this definitely isn't. This course is not in Eagle's total wheelhouse, right? And anytime you're coming off of a great finish, that adds pressure to the next stop. If the course, if we been playing say Belton Open this weekend, Eagle would have been right up there in everybody's picks.
Sure.
Yep. And I don't think he's playing in the Belton Open, because I would say, well, look out this week, Eagle be right back in the mix of the things, because to me that course really suits his game. So I think if we went back and kind of studied his per hole situations, I'm thinking it was a lot of those areas where the wind plays a factor. Those guys all can reach some of those. Eagle can bonus up on some of these holes that
Sure.
that the wind said not today. And so when he's not able to capitalize on those and run into some technical problems in the woods, you're going to get Eagle McMahon down in the field somewhere.
Watching the live coverage in the first round, he caught some unlucky breaks as well. And I think it rattled him a little bit mentally. There was one where he had a putt. It was, I think it was weak side chains, but like pretty square. And it just went straight through and out the back. And like, it's a putt that should go in, and it didn't. And I think when that happened, and I forget the hole off the top of my head now, but when that happened, he'd already had a little bit of frustration early in the round. And I think he went on tilt a little bit. Whether that means for round 2 when he shot 1 over, I don't know, but certainly still, the beautiful thing about disc golf is that we have these various courses and different styles required, and there's no player except maybe Paul Macbeth who can really dominate on all of them. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, to watch Eagle look unstoppable from one week and then be totally fallible, just 2 weeks later, I think that's such a cool thing about disc golf that, other sports don't always match.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And what we have to remember is that Eagle is still a very young player. He's been to darn near the top already, so he knows that feeling and that spot where he wants to be. But as they say in the world of golf, the golfer's very best friend is a short-term memory, and that really plays sense to disc golf as well. And I think the younger players, that's one of those maturity lessons that even though it, when you're in the thick of it and it feels like things are compiling, it's hard for you to start getting out of your own way. And it's the same reason that when those players are playing very hot, it's also hard for other people to get in their way.
Right.
Yeah. So it's hard, that's where the maturity level comes in. You gotta be able to harness the memory when things are going correctly, but you also have to be able to completely let stuff go. And of course, anytime a target is, there's some kind of maybe more of an equipment malfunction versus a putt physical error, those are one of the hardest things to let go if you're young, immature. Meanwhile, for someone like me, as a great putter, I'm just saying, I know when I release the disc that I've done all the work, and now it's up to this catching entrapment device. Is it going to hold or not?
Right. Totally fair. Anything else stick out to you from the results this weekend? Elsewhere in the top 5, Calvin Heimberg finished 5 strokes back of Nikko. Austin Hoop and Paul Macbeth tied for 5th at 19 down.
Solid.
In FPO. Sarah Hokum, who always seems to play well here, she finished in 3rd place. Lisa Fakis in 4th place. And Paige Pierce in 5th place. A nice tight bunching from Scoggins down to Pierce. But then, of course, Kona Panis was 12 strokes clear, which is just amazing. But anything stand out to you, Jay?
On the FPO side, we got to give a shout out for another Texan that's, starting the Texas swing, and we're going to look forward to seeing Lisa Fakis, show what she's got on courses that she is maybe more familiar to than others. So it was great to see her finish well. She, my recollection is she hasn't quite been up towards the top of her game as of late. So I think this was a huge momentum shift for her. And then, Owen Scoggins, I mean, come on, talk about a player that could play in the aged brackets, just bringing that Tiger Mom game of just putting sensation, and as a fellow putter, I can really respect that. But what I see from Owen is I really see somebody that's like, hey, I haven't got to do this yet. So I'm going to take advantage of this short time, though it may be, and I'm going to put myself out there. And her game has been showing like, yeah, you are clutch. You can do this. So, hats off to her. Anytime somebody over 40 years old can compete with participants that are in their athletic prime, that's something to be recognized. So that's my thoughts. Yeah, right. On the MPO side, you mentioned Austin Hoop. I don't know him very well, but he's one of the young players that we like to see make their self up into that bracket. But I also want to give a shout out to some other like real youngsters like Gannon Burr and Gavin Rathbun. Here's 2 out of the Midwest, right? Illinois and Iowa. 2 guys that are kind of getting out to see the world for the first time. So there's so much to do and so much to see, to be able to bring the skill set that you're going to some other state with and do well with it. That should make those guys feel phenomenal. It does me as a fan.
Yeah. Gannon Burr making the lead card after round 1. Heck of a performance from him. I mean, he finds a green in regulation on like 15 holes. He's perfect from circle 1. He goes 1 for 2 from circle 2. Really looked like he belonged out there. And, hard to say whether the moment got to him or not in round 2. He shot 4 under the next 2 rounds. Perhaps, kind of punched above his weight there in round 1. But, for a teenager to come out and play this well, this is somebody that we're going to see showing up on lead cards again in the future. There's no question about it. A name to keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Little side just a side note that I had fun with on my cards. My round 2 card was also a very throwback card. We had Double G and Matt Oram,
Okay.
another buddy, longtime player from Iowa that came down to Texas. But if you took all 4 of our PDJ numbers together, it was lower than any single individual on the card ahead of us.
Wow.
Which included folks like Mason Ford and Thomas Gilbert and, some of the young and up and coming stars. So we had a blast that round, kind of just all having had played together over the last couple decades.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Nikko Locastro will be joining us in just a moment. I do have 2 corrections from last week. I misspoke on a couple of things. I said that Paul Macbeth's foundation was paulmacbethfoundation.com, but it's actually .org. And I said that the match play championships for the Disc Golf Pro Tour were going to be, the slots were going to be decided after the Jonesboro Open, but that's not right. It's going to be after Idlewild. So just a couple quick corrections, and thanks to the eagle-eared listener who pointed that out. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Nikko joins us. Stay with us. It's the Upshot. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. I know everybody got that $1,400 check coming to their bank account this week, so there's no more excuses. It's time to get a Pound bag. You get this bag once and you're set. All right. You can get a custom version when the custom program's up on the first of each month. You can get one of the limited edition Octothorpes dropping every Wednesday. Just absolutely beautiful bags built in the USA. Incredible attention to detail. Incredibly comfortable to wear. I can't say enough good things about them. And there's a reason that they are where they are in the market. So go see if you can get yourself a Pound bag at pounddiscgolf.com. Joining us now on the Upshot is the winner of the 2021 Waco Annual Charity Open, Nikko Locastro. Nikko, welcome back to the program.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
We're doing good. How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing very good, except you're cutting out a little bit. I'm kind of having some technical difficulties, so hopefully that kind of straightens out, but I'm feeling good. It's a good day. It's really windy outside. I'm in the garage right now, so if you hear some banging, that's literally the garage door.
Got it. Well, so I want to open with this. Obviously, it's this is your second Disc Golf Pro Tour win in less than 12 months after you won the Preserve last year. I saw a photo somebody shared on Instagram of you and Cale from 2010.
Right.
And now here we are 11 years later, and it's the two of you going battle down the stretch. What was that final round like for you to go head to head with a player that you've known for a long time?
It was a roller coaster ride. I mean, I started that round with so much confidence, birdie in the first 7. I just felt unstoppable. And then somewhere in the middle stretch of the round, I started overthinking. I actually, honest to God, I looked at the scores. I'm like, holy shit, I got a 5-stroke lead. And then from there, I'm like, oh man, I need to make sure I make these putts. And I started overthinking for a little while. I only checked the scores one time, but then I brought it back together. I missed like 3 or 4 putts in a row. And then like I had to go walk and have a little pep talk with myself and just be like, it's go time, Nikko. Like, don't let this opportunity slip. And then that whole time it's just, I had to give myself reassurance and create that visual in my mind. Like I was talking about with Terry Miller yesterday on Smashbox. It's just like, that is so important to have a very strong visual. So, I mean, that was part of it. As far as like battling with Cale, he's such a good player. You know, it wouldn't be a surprise to see Cale in the top 10 in every tournament that he plays because his consistency is upper level, upper echelon. I mean, he throws some of the straightest shots in disc golf, and he was playing so red hot on the putting green that I felt like I had to really dig deep those last, 4 holes and just make sure that I was giving myself the green light in my mind to just go forward and don't stop. Just keep pushing forward, just like I did at the preserve. It just like part of it was the mental clarity of like, I seen myself winning that tournament and I believed that I was going to win the tournament. And when it came down to it, I had to constantly reassure myself, like, you got this, keep going, don't stop. And when I hit that putt on 17, it was just like, I felt at that moment, this is it. This is why I play disc golf. And I've had magical feelings before that just like I was at the right place at the right time. And it felt like it was meant to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in predetermined fate, but sometimes things do happen for a reason. And I feel like I was born to play disc golf, and I was meant to win on that particular weekend. It was meant for me to win.
Hey, so Nikko, when I was, kind of watching I caught up with you guys to see that amazing finish. And your start was just phenomenal. It seemed to me, Cale was kind of like always right there, chipping a little bit. And then to me, it seemed like, your low point of the round might've come on like hole 14, where all of a sudden, you were actually, at
closer
the back of the
than
box.
him. I was inside the circle.
Yep. Back of the box right there. And so when that led to that pressure buildup, did you feel like the par on 15, even though it was just a par, it seemed
Honestly,
like that might've been your moment.
I don't think it was just the pressure, because like I was dialed in and I was still feeling good, but it was like there were some wind gusts. It was windy. Those putts were not giving me 25 footers into a crosswind where it was switching, so like there were definitely some challenges out there with how constantly the wind was blowing. But yeah, I mean, like Cale did put the pressure on me, and his putter hardly hit the ground at all during that last round. And he continued to push forward. Therefore, I had to step up my game on 15. I stood there on the tee pad for a while because the wind would not let up. And I had the backhand, and then I had the sidearm, and I'm just like, I need to make a good decision right now. I need to make a smart, educated decision as a tour veteran. I knew that I needed to make the right decision right now. I couldn't slip. There was no more room for slipping. I already let go of, 3 or 4 strokes by then. And it didn't look like Cale was going to take his foot off the pedal. So he threw his shot. He was up first. He went a little bit short because it was windy, man. It was just his Frisbee dropped out of the sky. And I'm thinking, I have to put myself up by those poles, by that piece of metal, because I don't want to have a long upshot. It's windy. I need to be close. So I threw the sidearm, and when I released it, I'm like, it was on a good angle. It was on a good angle. I read the wind perfectly, put myself in position. And while I'm walking down the fairway, I'm thinking, I'm feeling good again. I'm like, okay, you're making the right play. You know what I'm saying? The worst thing I could have done in that moment was rush myself and make a mental error. Like I just said, there was no more room for errors. Cale was going to play good. He was going to complete a good round of disc golf. So I landed in bounds. I threw my upshot a little shorter than I wanted to the right. I didn't want to be 25 feet away, but I had to calm myself walking up to that putt saying, make this putt right in the basket, Nikko. No other thought process. This is a must-make situation. Make the putt and move on. And after that, I'm like, on 16, I've been playing 16 extremely safe and conservative the whole week, because in the past I've taken 4s on that hole and felt like an idiot, so I played it way to the left, never a chance to go out of bounds. I kept my bio defender on a hyzer. I didn't even try to get to the right of the trees on 16. I was playing it to the left of the trees. I'm confident with my upshot right now. So I had the BT anvil, chipped it up there. I think it even hit the box. And then from there, like, we seen how it unfolded on 17 and 18. It was a magical weekend for me, man. Like, I've watched the video 25 times or more. I'm soaking it in as much as I possibly can, because it's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling to persevere and come out on top after all those times where I've taken 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. I was right there so many times. So that was it was a breakthrough, and I feel like I'm in a good position. I'm in a good spot right now. I put myself back at the top. So when people think about the best players in the world, they're gonna have to think about my name. You know, I'm proven that I have longevity in the sport of disc golf. I'm not one of these guys that's gonna pop up and leave. I'm gonna be here for as long as I possibly can.
So let me ask you this: you're back over 1030 rated for the first time. You got there last year, and you've been there, but that's for the first time since 2017. What's brought you back to this elite level of disc golf to where you're now, winning multiple DGPT events in the course of 12 months?
I have an unbreakable willpower. I think that I have an extremely strong will, and if I want something bad enough in my lifetime, I truly believe in myself that I will achieve whatever goals that I set for myself. So,
did you not have that willpower in 2017, 2018?
I did, but I think that there was conflict in my everyday life, and I was allowing myself to sometimes think about myself in a negative way, saying, I showed up so many times and I was getting beat by I kept getting edged out by really good players, and the talent pool there's so many people that are good at disc golf right now that for a while, maybe I was slightly doubting myself that I kept showing up. It's hard to show up and keep failing, but I don't believe in failure in life. I believe that each temporary failure acts as a way to learn and grow and take something positive through everything that you go through in life. We're all faced with challenges, and it's my mindset, man. I feel that I'm in a positive place right now. I have a maximum amount of determination and willpower. I believe that good things are going to happen for me because of the many times that I was stuck in a situation where I had to go through hard times. Was the only way that I could learn. And you only learn in life by making temporary mistakes that help push you on the right path. So I think I'm on a really good path right now. I won the first big tournament of the year coming off a hand injury, and I have confidence in my lineup of disc. Trilogy has so many discs to choose from that, I'm working with them to create some new plastics and a couple new discs that can help me perform even better. So I'm building a positive relationship with Westside Discs. I have a good thing going with my girlfriend, Catherine, right now. So things are going good in my life. And I think that helps things go in a positive direction on the disc golf course as well. So it's I just feel good right now, man. I'm coming off a win. I feel like I'm where I deserve to be. I feel that I have a lot of people in my corner. There's always going to be people that are rooting against me, but I know that I have a lot of people in my corner right now. I got an army of people in my corner.
Well, but before Jay asks his next question, I do want to follow up on the hand injury real quick. I saw your interview on the Disc Golf Network, and you said you hurt your hand after following through on a punching bag and punching a soda machine. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened, man. Without going into any more details and telling the story for another 1,000th time. Yeah, I made a bad judgment and I made a critical error, and it was upsetting, man. It took me on a mental roller coaster ride because I've done everything in my power to be the best disc golfer that I could be, and I felt like my power was taken away. I define myself and the person I am through playing disc golf, and the sport of disc golf has added so much value to me personally that I don't want that taken away. And I felt like temporarily it was stripped from me. So I cried about it. I had physical tears, not just from the pain, but because I was upset at myself. I was really upset that I made such a bad judgment to punch something, even if it was on accident. It was not out of rage. And that's the honest to God truth. I did not punch something because I was mad. This was just a game at a skating rink, and I accidentally, I followed through into something. It was a freak accident, man. But it affected me. It truly hurt my feelings that I allowed myself to make a mistake. And I had to dig deep and think about what disc golf means to me, what my career means to me, what the relationships around me mean to me. And it gave me a different perspective that I was able to grow from. So I went into the Waco tournament thinking, if I have a good mindset, I deserve to win this tournament. I don't think there's a player in the world that's put in more time than me and more focus and more energy. I put in a lot of time.
Did you have much time to practice and get ready to play? I mean, you're coming off the injury and your first event out, you win. So was that just like you were ready to play, or did you have some time to get practice?
I played like 2 rounds of practice at the Waco tournament over at the Beast. And then before that, I was playing left-handed rounds for about a month.
Wow.
Sometimes I was playing a little with my right to try to test it, but it wasn't in good shape, man. My hand was not 100% healed. Even now, I still can't touch my middle finger to my palm. Right here, I could touch it all day. Right here, my middle finger is still hard to.
Yeah.
It doesn't really go right there. So like, I still feel like I'm somewhat battling this injury, but I'm playing good disc golf right now. Like I could still get it. I could still get it out there and make like some good mental decisions on the course. I feel like I could still get some more distance when give it a little more time to heal, and I could get some more distance back. But yeah, I know my bag of discs extremely well right now. I have confidence when I step on the disc golf course. I don't care what disc golf course I go to. I believe in my ability to perform at a high level no matter what. I've thrown so many shots. I've practiced so many putts. I've practiced so many drives. It's a process, man. Like,
do you think you work harder than other pros?
Most of the time, there have been times where I was not fully prepared for tournaments that I still played in. Like, yeah, I think that I outwork most of the professionals, but there's a lot of people, and I see them out there practicing all the time. And not just the guys that are at the tournament. There's guys that are about to start playing tournaments that are practicing relentlessly. But I have a strong work ethic. I take good care of myself. I'm focused. I'm driven. I'm working towards greater things at all times.
And I know this about Nikko, over the tournaments, Nikko is one of those players that, if he has a bad portion of a finish or something in his game that he feels like didn't quite click, Nikko's been known to going out after a grueling final round and playing another round, or going right over to the practice target and, trying to figure out what he might have not performed in the moment with. And I think those are the things that he's talking about that make his strong work ethic come through. Nikko, the shot, one of the shots for me, obviously the putt was just, phenomenal, as one of the sports moments that we all look forward to. But I think the one that you maybe aren't getting credit for was your forehand approach up to the green. You were kind of pinched off by that tree. You had a wind that we didn't see at all in any practice rounds, in any tournament rounds. So this was a kind of a first shot experience for you. The fact that you landed it in bounds was a win, but the crowd reaction kind of, disc golf crowd tough on you right there. And I
see where you're going with this, Jay.
Well, you didn't get the pop, right? So to me,
I see what you're doing here, Jay.
How did this affect you? I mean, this had to build up to the moment, right?
Yeah, I guess it maybe, built up a little bit. I was kind of expecting, as I skipped in bounds on 17, I expected people to be like really stoked and like really happy for me that I caught a skip back in bounds. And, maybe I just needed something to like keep myself worked up. So I'm always trying to like prove people wrong. It's something that I have done my whole life. And I want to, if people are against me, I don't think the people in Texas were really against me, but I just didn't hear a whole lot of claps. And there were a lot of people. I had a lot of friends out there in the crowd and stuff. So I was kind of like walking by and giving them a hard time, but laughing at the same time. Like I didn't hear too many claps as I walked past them. And there were some people online like, oh, Nico's calling up. Man, it's just, there's a lot of people out there in Texas showing me love. I bumped elbows and shook hands and gave so many people hugs that were out there in the crowd. And, there were a lot of people that had my back, but as I walked up to the putt on 17, I was just thinking, man, just like how amazing would it be to make this putt right here, right now. And I had an energy about me as I'm watching the videos. There was a certain energy and a certain focus. And I almost like smiled a little bit as I walked up to the putt. I'm like, I think I got it. I have a feeling it might just go right in. So I read it was windy, man. You couldn't really tell, but it was probably like at least a 20-mile-an-hour wind. There was a good amount of wind. So like I read it. I put it out there to the right with a little Annie, let the wind help guide it in there, man. And it was I think it was a staple in my disc golf career. It showed people that I don't give up. I never give up. I don't care if I'm behind or I'm fighting to get back to the lead or I'm trying to keep the lead. Like I'm always fighting. I'm a warrior. You know what I'm saying? Like I put my full heart and all my energy into disc golf and walking off the course feeling like victorious. There's no better feeling in the world, man. You know that, Jay. You're a competitor. I've had some battles with you. I remember playing against you where you were relentless on the putting green. We played a tournament in Texas, and I remember you made like an 80-foot putt with the water behind it, and I'm just like, how is this even possible? But you had it was the willpower. You had the will at the time to just like push forward, man. And that's it's such a good feeling.
You're both
to be on top again.
You're both from the Midwest. When did you first play against each other at a tournament?
Jay will tell you.
I will, because I actually looked that up. Yeah, how old were you in 2006? I'm going to guess 17, 18.
2006 was my first Am Worlds. That was the year that Ulibarri won in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I want to say I was about 2006. I was born in 88. I'm not real good at math off the top of my head, but from 88 like to 2000, I was around 18.
Yeah, 17,
right around
18.
18 because I turned pro and I played in Augusta that year. That was the same year that Ken Climo won his last open world title.
Check. Yeah, so we played together for the first time. You were a hot young prospect coming out of St. Louis. I was coming out of the North in the Quad Cities, and we met at the Wildcat Open in Hamilton, Illinois.
The Wildcat Open.
You remember that? And I shot a 1044 first round on you, and I picked up 3 strokes, and then you and I battled to an equal 1020 round for the second, but those 3 strokes held, and I took you down in 2006 in our first meeting.
Yeah. Nice. When I thought Wildcat Open, I think that might have been one of my first wins the next year. I think that I definitely won the Wildcat Open at some point, but that's pretty cool, man. Little piece of history.
Yeah, it was a great event, and they raised a lot of funding and stuff like that. But
that's in Illinois, right? Illinois,
that's right down there in the bottom on the river there. Beautiful course and everything.
I remember the course.
My first huge impact memory of you, though, because you were still a young player at that point, so. I didn't have Nikko, like this kid's got potential, like killer. But it was 2009, when you took down the Memorial in your first national tour win. That was when the world was introduced to Nikko, and it was really a phenomenal tournament for him. And one of the funnier moments was actually at the awards, because the Memorial had a tradition of having everybody go to a great beach bar, just everybody showed up. So it was crowded.
Yeah, I remember.
They waited to give the awards until everybody got there. So the place was just shoulder to shoulder with disc golfers. And so the award ceremony is always going to be something that was just spectacular for the winners. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
In 2009, Nikko wasn't 21, so they kicked him out of the bar.
I remember that now.
Remember that?
I do remember that. There were a lot of people there. There were like 200 people, but they wouldn't let me in. It was stupid.
Like, I got an award to get, and everybody wants to yell at my name. Come on. So funny. But that shows you, just like
That
you're
is
saying,
awesome.
you know, the kid's got longevity. You know, 2009, his first national tour, and he's bounced back time and time again to pick up a couple majors, a national tour here, a national tour there, and now he's got his second disc golf pro tour in the span of a full calendar year's time frame. So Nikko, what are you looking forward to here coming up?
I'm looking forward to next weekend. I'm looking forward to every tournament this year. I'm grateful right now, man. If I could continue to hold on to that gratitude that I have right now is for as long as possible. Like, I see myself continuously doing well. You know, I practice a lot, man. I feel like I have the shots it takes to play at a high level, and I love competing. We could flip quarters. We could do anything in the world. I want to compete no matter what. If I'm not playing disc golf, I'm still competitive with every single thing that I do. So it's just, disc golf creates so much within myself that I'm always going to be a part of the sport. You know, I'm always going to play no matter what. And I hope that I can continue to compete in the Open division, the Masters division, the Grand Masters. Just like, it's special, man. You know that, Jay. It's just special to go out there and, you know, see all the homies, go out there and vibe with everybody. Like, disc golf is a culture. It's an entire vibe. So, like, I love it, man. I love to be out there, and I truly enjoy every part of disc golf. Even like, it's hard to say, but the times when it hurts me, even then I feel like it makes me feel something. I'm never numb. Like, when I have that pain, if I feel like I fail, if I took second place in the tournament, I could take that energy from the pain and turn it into something. It's fuel. You know what I'm saying? So I can use that in a positive way, no matter what. You can always learn from your mistakes. And it's sometimes hard to swallow your pride and be like, man, I got outplayed. I lost the tournament. But sometimes you have to take that into the next tournament and remember those little mistakes that you made. You could change those mistakes for the better. So I asked King Climo one time, I was like, how do you stay on top for so long? Like, what is it that made you stay on top for so long? He said, you got to be comfortable. You got to be confident. And I've tried to take those words to heart, and you have to find comfort within yourself so you can relax your nerves. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can go into these tournaments and not feel much except just like a soothing feeling, a comfortable balance within myself, that's what it's about. You have to find some comfort within yourself so you can calm your nerves and just focus on exactly what you want to do.
I find it fascinating to talk to you, Nikko, because you'll talk about the gratitude that you feel towards the sport, the love that you have for the sport, the people in the sport. And on the same token, you'll talk about, you know, being fueled by the haters or, the people who naysay. You want to prove people wrong. And I feel like this is an interesting contrast between these two things.
You're damn right I do.
And
You're
so
damn right.
You put a chip on your shoulder. I mean, do you feel like you're a villain at times in disc golf? And do you embrace
Hell no,
that?
I feel like a superhero, dude. It's other people painting me out to be a villain. I think I'm a superhero in some ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't get to see all the positives about Nikko. They don't get to see me giving away discs and shirts to kids in the parking lot and connecting with people. They paint a picture of me sometimes with the footage they get of me being upset. Athletes have been upset of, you know, being competitive, but like, as far as how I feel like I'm a good person and I have good relationships and do great things for people around me. So no, I don't feel like a villain at all. I feel good about myself. I feel really good about all the friends that I have, all the memories that I've been able to create with people. Like, that's what life's about, man. But as far as these people running their mouth about me, that shit has to stop, dude. These guys they need to just quit. It's making them look bad. And it's nothing I like to see is people want to call me out for anything they can to make themselves feel better, or maybe they want someone to acknowledge them. It's hard for me sometimes to not write a hasty response and tell these people to put a big pickle in their mouth and try to swallow it.
Okay, so
I don't give a shit, dude. Listen to me for a second. These guys need to cool it. They just need to stop. They want to blow smoke. They don't want the heat, man. They don't want to come out there to the course. Nobody comes out to the course. Nobody comes out there saying those hasty comments in the parking lot. Not one time in my entire disc golf career. They want to blow smoke. They don't want the heat, dude. They don't want to go.
Let's bring it back to the course here. You know, and I saw a quote from you. I saw a quote from you in the interview that you did in Smashbox. Not having seen the interview myself, but the quote was, "Just play good enough to get on my card and call me on it." And I'm assuming they're talking about calling you on time. And so it is the player's responsibility to be calling somebody on a time infraction. But your quote to me, that sounds like an acknowledgement. What do you think there?
If we're talking about the comment I made about people calling me, like, I would rather someone take me to the side and say, "Hey, Nikko, like, speed it up today. Like, you're taking too long." And then I could be like, "You're right, man." And that's like a respectful type thing to say, "Hey, you're taking a little too." That's what I would say to somebody if I felt like they were honestly taking too much time, or they were in their own world, or they weren't paying attention. Say, "Hey, man, like, just pay attention to what's going on out here today." But I would rather people say that to me than say, "Oh, that's a courtesy violation. That's a stroke." But if that's what it comes down to, then I'll just have to take it as it comes. You know what I'm saying? And I'll try not to take it personal, because I don't want people to think that I'm not trying to bend rules. It's a problem that I've developed on taking too much time. I hate watching those videos where I stand over a putt for a minute or 2 minutes and then boink it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that I need to address, though. It is something that I should take into consideration, because I don't want to waste anybody's time, and I want to be considered an equal. Like, everybody should be fair. So, you know, it's something that I'm probably going to work on, because I want to develop more fans, and I want more people loving me, not more people hating me, downgrading my name, saying disrespectful, rude comments about someone they've never met in their life just because I've taken a little too much time. People get rude on there, man, and they get nasty. And I don't want to respond, but I will, you know, and every once in a while I'll have to say, "Hey, why don't you send me a direct message and we could go handle this in a field somewhere? We can brawl if you want."
Nikko, you're gonna hurt your hand, man. You can't get into that. You're gonna have another month with the finger messed
He's got
up.
4 more knuckles on that hand alone.
If I come at it with one of these, dude, I don't think they're getting up. So bring an army. You better bring a couple people. If you're coming out there and you're looking for a brawl, bring a couple friends, dude. I might have a couple people in the parking lot that have my back.
Has the Pro Tour reached out to you about the time?
Hold on.
Okay.
Is Jay going to jump in if someone's out there trying to, you know, start beef with me? Jay, you look like you could handle somebody. Are you going to jump in and got my back or not? That's what I want to know.
I've had buddies' backs all my life, my man.
All right, buddy. That's all I need to know from you. I just wanted to ask you one question.
Has the Pro Tour reached out about the time issues from this weekend and like given you any kind of warning or I mean, I know it's a player issue, but I think a lot of people are complaining about the broadcast.
Jeff Spring did come up to me and he mentioned during the last round, it's like, you need to speed it up a little. It's just like, those were like the 3 times that I missed putts that he said something to me. But I did. I hope that I don't want to make anybody mad, man. Sometimes I get a little nervous, and I'm sorry if I take too much time and upset people, but it's not on purpose. It's not like I'm trying to intentionally get over on anybody. So like, people need to cool it, man. They need to cool down with those comments and just I'll work on myself a little bit to take less time, and hopefully that will help my game achieve a even better ways to play better. You know what I'm saying? So
just
I
an
don't know,
interesting note on that. Did Jeff approach you for something prior to the putt and then you missed it, or the putt took the time?
No, he just let me know that I was taking too much time, and he probably did that rightfully so, because he don't want to take the heat either. He don't want people coming at him saying, "Hey, you need to call Nikko out." So he said what was probably necessary at the time. But beyond that, they haven't reached out to me after the tournament to say, "Hey, Nikko, it looks like you're a time violation. We're gonna have to take away your trophy." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like that.
So do you feel, as a player officiated sport still at this point, and I've heard other elite pros talk about, someday we may have officials out there, and, the PDJ does have a marshal program. Do you feel that, if somebody like another player says like, "Hey, we've got a player taking a lot of time right here," is it appropriate for a official to kind of follow the card and keep track of this?
I don't know. I guess that's an opinion. I don't know if it's 100% necessary. I feel like the players should be able to have it handled. But if that's the case, yeah, I mean, in the big tournaments, I guess there should probably be an official on every single hole, on all 18 holes. And we should have a video camera on all 18 holes. And if we're going to call the rules on me, we'll call the rules on every single person as well. I'm not just going to be ridiculed and criticized because I see a lot of players taking a good amount of time, but I somehow seem to be the one that gets the microscope, and a lot of people come at me with the heat because I don't know. I don't know why. I guess I take a little too much time. And it's something I'm going to address.
I don't think you're alone.
I'm going to address the issue, and I'm going to try to work on my form to take less time and get the job done more efficiently, so they have nothing to say to me except, "Dang, Nikko's having a pretty good weekend out there. He looks pretty good in his new flight club gear, huh?" That's about it. I want them to say I play good and I look good, and that's about all you can say.
This is my last question for you. Where does the putt on 17 rank for you in your all-time shots?
It's one of my favorite moments in my disc golf career. I felt like it was one of my most clutch moments, where it was a big moment that I took advantage of, and it worked out in my favor. And I'm so grateful and so happy that there's a highlight reel out there where people can see the true me, the true excitement. That's all. That's raw emotion. That's 100% real Nikko Locastro. That's who I am. That's why I play disc golf, is to put myself in an opportunity to make a big putt down the stretch so people can see how hard I've worked to be where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much, Nikko, for taking some time, and good luck at Texas States.
Nikko, incredible clutch moment. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
That was a sports moment for disc golf, man.
It sure was.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to bring me on the interview. Jay, you're looking real fresh in that shirt. I want to see you wearing that out on the disc golf course, out on the tour.
Ooh.
I see you rocking that, dude. Put your big sponsor logo on there. That's gonna mess them up, bro. You'll probably win the next tournament by 10 shots, dude. They won't even be able to look at you. You look so good.
Get that flamingo.
All right,
Bring
Nikko Locastro, 2021 Waco champion. Thanks, Nikko.
Hey, stay good. It's all love out here, guys. I appreciate all the fans, all the support from people. Westside Disc has got my back this year. I'm also shout out to Local Route Pro Shop and my brand Flight Club. I'll show you guys something, just like a little sneak peek. Uh-oh. What do we got here? A little sneak peek. What's this?
Mm-hmm.
A little merchandise. Oh, wait. Westside Flight Club. What up?
Those are some colors there. Sharp.
Hold on, we got some more merchandise. You guys brought me on. We got to show you the merchandise. Here's some Flight Club hats. That merch drop is coming soon, so you guys keep a lookout. We got some cool things happening.
Have you been to Belton
Good
before?
stuff in the works.
Played Belton?
Yeah, I got 2 rounds in on the course so far. I played yesterday and the day before, and I'm probably just gonna get out in the wind and like play a local course. I'm staying in Hewitt with my buddy, right now. He was out there caddying for me in Waco, or not caddying, but he was my support system out there in Waco. So, yeah, I'll probably just go get a little practice in the wind. It's really windy today. I hear it ripping.
Yeah. How do you like those turf tee pads?
They look nice, man. It's a nice venue. It's a nice spot. The lines look crisp. It looks, they're ready. They're prepared out there for a tournament.
There's some big holes out there, but there's some shot maker holes on there too. That's
definitely, especially when it gets windy and you still have to stay in the OB lines. It's definitely going to be another battle. I'm looking forward to competing. I'm hoping that I can pull it off again. Everybody's gunning for it. Nobody's letting up. It's not going to be easy, but I'm ready. I want to compete again. Let's see if we can get some more highlight reels.
You're the man of the hour until the next hour.
All right, Nikko. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys. Is that it? You guys got any more questions?
That's it. The Upshot is presented in part by Disc Golf America. And you know what I did this week? I went to discgolfamerica.com and I placed an order. I got 3 discs. They shipped the same day. Shipping was free. They showed up on my doorstep 2 days later. I saved 10% with code UPSHOT. And it really couldn't have been a better ordering process. Each disc came in its own plastic bag so that it was protected from any damage in shipping. And look, it was just a perfectly easy ordering experience from start to finish. Great prices, got the discount, and the shipping was free. So I highly recommend you go check it out, discgolfamerica.com. In case you're wondering, I got a Hades and an Envy and a Volt. So fill in some slots in my bag. Check out discgolfamerica.com and save 10% with code UPSHOT. Welcome back to the Upshot. I always appreciate Nikko's forthrightness. He speaks his mind, and he's always got something to say, and I appreciate that about him. I was surprised to hear him say, Jay, that like he's going to try to fix the time thing. It has been a problem for a while, and I haven't heard him really acknowledge that before. So cool to see that. I think as somebody who mostly watches the professional level disc golf as opposed to being involved in it in any way, it can be tedious as a viewer at home to watch those long 60 plus seconds sometimes putt preparations.
No, there's no doubt about it. And Nikko's not alone. I mean, there are definitely other players out there, without naming names, that are notorious for really testing the time limit. And I think we're going to take a deep dive on that here in a little bit on the subscriber bonus segment.
That's right.
That correct?
Yeah, we're going to talk about how that issue should be treated by the Elite Series, and should there be changes to the process by which, right now, as you talked about in the interview, Jay, players have to make those calls. They have to say, there's a time violation here. And I think a lot of times players don't want to do that because they don't want to call each other out and put themselves into an awkward position where it feels like they're sort of being adversarial against someone they're on the card with. Anyway, we'll get into it more in the subscriber bonus segment. A couple little things to follow up on here before we wrap up the show. Paige Pierce was just featured in a pretty significant profile in Sports Illustrated. Long piece about Paige and disc golf in general. Really a glowing profile. Called her maybe one of the most dominant individual athletes in any sport. And I think you could make a case. I don't know if I would say that she goes above and beyond Serena Williams or in my mind, but certainly the way that she has consistently played at the highest level of the sport now for many years. It's high praise, but I think she's earned it. Yeah,
I mean, it's just to have a reputable journalism, sports coverage magazine like that to even throw something like that out there. Wow. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And the exposure that SI, brings in to yet another group of folks that may not have been exposed to disc golf. And so if Paige is the jumping point that these folks come in and see the game, how phenomenal is that? Because, the women traditionally have been an underserved segment in our game. So to show that, like, look, yes, this is possible. And here, someone is like this. Hopefully that turns on athletic women and college athletes everywhere.
100%. Having that visibility of a top level athlete in the sport is huge. Speaking of Paige Pierce, she was just named the co-player of the year for 2020 by the PDGA, who after a review process decided that the way that last year's point system for player of the year played out was unfair. And so Catrina Allen, who had been named player of the year about a month ago, is now going to share the award with Pierce. Now, there's a full story up on Ultiworld Disc Golf that I published yesterday that kind of gets into the full details about what's going on here. But basically, the PDGA announced changes to the points system in November of 2020, and so that sort of retroactively applied to the rest of the year. And what it meant is that if you played a lot of A tiers, which Catrina Allen did and Paige Pierce did not, that you got a lot of additional points in the Player of the Year race. If they had used the original criteria that were in place for 2019, Paige Pierce would have won by 1 point. And so they decided to apply both criteria and ultimately give Paige a shared version of the award with Catrina Allen. The PDGA essentially apologized for making a mistake by announcing the changes as late as they did. It's been a lot of criticism of the PDGA about this issue, both when it was initially announced, but maybe even more so when this this subsequent announcement was made, naming Pierce the co-player of the year. Jay, I mean, I know you're involved with the PDGA on the competition committee. I imagine you didn't really have anything to do with this, but maybe I'm wrong. What are your thoughts here on the way the PDGA handled this and this co-player of the year situation?
Yeah, zero to do with that. In fact, I found out just like everybody else when it was announced, and it was shocking. Just that there was this scenario. I'm going to chalk it up to the wonky tonky year of 2020. I mean, there was, I feel like the PDJ was trying to do something that they thought was, fair to the weird year that it was. But yes, obviously in hindsight, as we peel it back and really look as to what happened, the outcome just makes sense. The PDGA has a little bit of a history of kind of, having some weird setups that they've had to go back and correct, I guess. I mean, the Player of the Year itself, which is a phenomenal award to win, right? I mean, it's the top of the class. And there was a time when it actually was a popularity contest almost, to where what it really was it entrusted this very, very important vote to the touring card players and stakeholders that, of course, were supposed to do diligence and do the research and really, most of the time it came up with the top Player of the Year, but not often. I mean, not always. And I'll just throw out 2007 for Des Redding, because in the history of the sport, it really was one of the more dominating seasons by a woman of all time. I mean, she won 8 out of the 8 national tour tournaments that she played in. Won a major that year, got second at the Worlds to Val Jenkins, and she even pulled off third at the U.S. Women's Championship. So, 20 wins out of the year, 7 of those being A tier. So it was really a dominating year. The award was given to Val Jenkins that year because it was her very first World Championship, which is phenomenal all by itself. But one World's win, usually does not make a case for an entire year of play. So, what did Des do? She really didn't, vocally, she was crushed, believe me. The PDGA executive director at the time even said it was a travesty. So what do we do? Not a travesty that Val won it, but that, maybe but
that Des didn't.
Yeah, but it didn't seem to work out the way the statistics worked out. So what did Des do? She actually, wrote in and said, hey, is this really the system that we want going forward historically? And they changed it. And, even though Des doesn't have a co-player of the year for 2007, she's changed the course of history for the people that are now coming after her, and that this works out a little bit better statistically.
And here's the upshot of all this, no pun intended. The system is now changed for the future. So starting in 2021, the point scaling is far more sensible, where if you win a major, you get 100 points. If you win an Elite Series event, so like an NT or a DGPT main season event, you get 60 points. And if you win an A tier, you get 15 points. And that seems a little bit more correctly scaled. Before it was 30 points, 25 points, and 15 points for major, Elite Series, and A tier. So the idea is basically that winning an A tier was worth half of winning a major, which just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense in today's day and age. So the good news is that this has been permanently changed, and we're going to enter this new era where there's more of an acknowledgement of the way that the professional players are competing. And if you run the last year's numbers through this 2021 system, Paige Pierce would have beaten Catrina Allen by 30 points in the Player of the Year race, which sounds about right. I mean, you have to acknowledge that Catrina Allen played more tournaments, played a lot more A tiers, but at the end of the day, Paige Pierce was dominant in the most important tournaments. The Pro Tour, she won the only major of the year. There's no question that COVID was weird. Here's my whole thing about this. The PDGA should have acknowledged these same issues when they initially announced the award. That's really what I come to about the whole thing. It's kind of too late. Once you announce in November, which that shouldn't have happened, but it did. Once you announce in November the criteria, you can't then change the criteria again after the fact. But what you can do, I think, is recognize, wait a minute, this criteria change actually kind of screwed things up and it didn't make sense. And they should have been able to anticipate that people were going to ask a lot of questions about why Catrina Allen was going to win the award over Paige Pierce. And for it to basically take public criticism and then, Paige talking about it, Paul Macbeth talking about it, and people being a little bit upset by the situation, to then subsequently get the change, it doesn't look good from an optics perspective. I think that's pretty obvious. At the end of the day, I do think that they've sort of done the best that they can to try to make the situation right, even if it's certainly going to leave Catrina and Paige probably feeling weird about the whole thing. And I don't know what else they could do at this point, but do what they did, which is fix the rules for next year and acknowledge that Paige Pierce played the best disc golf in FPO in 2020. And those things happened, so I give them credit for that. The way it played out was obviously a total mess. And so, I guess, hopefully this doesn't happen again. Like, got to think about the criteria carefully when you put them into place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mean, it has happened before. 2010, actually, Nikko Locastro and Dave Feldberg were co-players of the year. And it wasn't necessarily announced like that. That was, I think there were some discrepancies in the points. And, so stuff happens. I think the positive is that it was acknowledged.
Right.
There was an apology,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. Last thing before we sign it off today. I have to ask you, Jay, are you the hot dog bandit?
The hot dog bandit? What is this hot dog bandit that you speak of? I actually was witness to a hot dog bandit, scenario with Big Germ during one of the Jomez. I was playing through the hole, and he just happened to discover he had this hot dog stamp. So this is kind of he'd been hit. He was clowning around, and when his disc flipped over, he actually saw on the back, like, oh, there's one of these hot dog stamps, and I've been stamped. And it was a hilarious moment. But as we dig into this deeper, it's kind of a really mysterious, fun thing that's happening on tour right now, and someone's having a lot of fun with this. The fact that they haven't been exposed at this point is kind of spectacular, and whoever it is, I hope they can continue to be cloakful and stealthy. Some players are saying, like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, what if you pull out your favorite disc at the certain time and there's this hot dog, but. I think they should keep the light heart part about it.
Yeah, and I think you should recognize that a hot dog bandit disc, like if you get it stamped and it's a pro level disc, I mean, that's going to sell on eBay for a lot of money. So if you just want to turn around and make a buck, how much is the hot dog stamp worth right now? I mean, it's worth something. I don't know what.
It is definitely worth something. I'm wondering if this is going to lead to like a secondary stamp. There might be a bratwurst stamp that comes up next or something.
A whole line of hot dog bandit.
Don't even know what sausage you're getting. It's fun though. It's kind of. I think the players are having a good time, kind of just battering it around. There's some theories out there. I personally don't have a quite a pin on it. I mean, I think every time I see Eric Oakley, he tends to be up to something.
Got a twinkle in his eye.
Calvin Heimberg, he's just too straight-faced, man. There's got to be a clown deep inside there somewhere.
If it was Calvin Heimberg, that would be amazing. That would be no one would see it coming.
Truly.
All right. Well, we're gonna call it a day here for the main show, but make sure you join us for our subscriber bonus segment where we talk about time violations and just calling violations in general on cards, especially on lead cards that are being broadcast live, and how that maybe should work as the sport continues to mature. So you can become a subscriber at discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. Jay, this is a fun first episode. Looking forward to our next one.
Yeah, really enjoyed it, Charlie. And, thanks to the Ultiworld fans out there and disc golf fans in general. Keep doing what you do and absorb all this content. And, if you like what you're seeing, throw Ultiworld a bone and get involved with this subscriber extra content and enjoy some of the deeper dives and the bonus content that all these great journalists are putting out there.
All right, that is going to do it for this week's edition of The Upshot. We'll be back with you here next week.